Hello, you all. Welcome to this new edition of Lectio Musica, the place for great lyrics, great music, and great meaning. My name is Guilain Prince. I'm a Franciscan friar from Canada. Love rock music for a long time, especially hard rock, metal, and prog. Once a week, I stop with you. I listen to a song. Most of the time, it's a new song, not this week. It's a new song for me. I listen to the song and I pay very close attention to the music and the lyrics. And second, I make a small analysis of the lyrics. Nothing fancy, just I read with you and I comment on them, and you comment down below. So don't forget, I always expect your comments on my videos. So first, I listen to the song with the lyrics. Second, I do a short analysis of the song and the lyrics especially. And third, I listen to a live version. This week, it will be a live version from Australia, Sydney. So, last week, we began our series on Dark Passion Play. So, here is the catch. A few years, 1 year and a half ago, I did a series of the 24 most beloved songs of Nightwish. And among those 24, the fans selected 3 songs of that album. The first one was The Poet and the Pendulum. The second one was Amaranth. The third one was 7 Days to the Wolves, I think. So I will not do these. You will find The Poet and the Pendulum. It's the video LM70 on my channel, and Amaranth, it's LM71. So I didn't do the first song, The Poet and the Pendulum, but I did the second last week, and the third one, Amaranth, again you will find it in the previous series, which means that it's the second video of this series, of the whole album, listening to the whole album, Dark Passion Play. But in fact, at this point, if you want to follow the order of the album, you should have listened to LM70, LM97, and LM71. This one is LM98. This is the fourth song. Like I said, it's called The Cadence of Her Last Breath. Just a small mistake here. Up there. We will continue then our survey, our journey, I should say, through the album with that song. And without further ado, let's begin with a video only with the lyrics and the song from the studio, the original version from the studio. Let's hear it in 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's the one. I remember this one beginning with someone being out of breath. Loved it. Loved it. Yeah, that's the one I had remembered of that song. The opening with the breathing rhythm, and also the very very powerful rhythm section with the both. If I remember, they are a little bit syncopated beats, but I would say the bass and the drummer on one beat, and then you have on the upbeat the guitar. I love when Nightwish does that. There's something to that I appreciate very much. It brings an element of jump of life on a very steady and powerful bass. Love it. Love the bass. There we are. Okay. First verse. Running for her life, the dark rain from her eyes still falls. Breathtaking butterfly chose a dark day to live. Save one breath for me. This verse brings us a wonderful image, but at the same time, it brings us in the paradox of a butterfly. Running for life, it's, of course, a butterfly literally does not run. But running for her life is an expression in English. Fleeing away from a menace. So that you can survive that menace. Okay, that's running for your life. So either it's taken just as an expression to talk about a butterfly, or the butterfly is the metaphor of a person, and the fact that you hear a person breathing at the opening might indicate us. Of course, a butterfly that does not breathe that like that. So I would suggest that the butterfly is an image of someone. Okay? So, and what does the image of a butterfly brings? Is that here the dark rain from her eyes still falls. Breathtaking butterfly chose a dark day to live. The idea of the butterfly that you will find in, I would say, in most time that the image is brought, is this idea that the butterfly lives to die, and in between is absolute beauty. Okay, so as immediately that the butterfly lives, is in a way condemned to die. Okay, and I think there is something of that image of a rain falls from her eyes. Does the rain comes from the sky, or is the rain coming out of her eyes, which means that tainted with death? So life is going out through her eyes. Or maybe dark passion play. The tears are not per se black, but they come from a dark place. That could be also this. This is the rain coming from a dark place. Breathtaking butterfly, so extraordinary beauty. She's running for her life, so it's a female butterfly. And the dark rain echoes a dark day. A dark day to live, maybe a dark day to die, both live and die. That would connect it with the text, the title of the album, Dark Passion Play. The passion is both, in that sense, death and life at the same time. You know that there are two meanings to passion. There's the great love and also death. So there is, to me, until now, the butterfly in this paragraph is what is at the core of the title of the album, to my perception at this moment. Save one breath for me, as if the butterfly is breathing. But the butterfly, I cannot witness with my eyes the breathing of a butterfly. But something I can witness is the movement of the wings. And I don't know if you ever heard of the butterfly effect. The fact that the butterfly moves his or her wings somewhere, and it has an effect at the other end of the world by a series of cause, effect, etc. In a way, the character says, save one breath for me, as if the life coming out of the butterfly, I want a bit of this life to be given to me, but because save, given to me by the butterfly. So a bit of the beat, a bit of the rhythm, the heartbeat, the breath. And I think that everything is breath in that song. Breath, heartbeat, wings, everything is extraordinary. The beat is very important in that song. So as if the butterfly communicates her breath or her beat to me as an echo. A loner longing for the cadence of her last breath, the cadence of her last breath. So the person talking, the I, is a loner, someone very much, not necessarily only alone, because a loner is someone who chooses solitude. But the solitude, the solitary person is longing for the cadence of her last breath. The life that is within the butterfly, the loner wants to have it, to receive it in a way. The life-giving butterfly and the loner wanting to participate in that life in a way, in that beauty. Why do I miss someone I never met? With bated breath I lay. Sea winds brought her to me, a butterfly, mere one-day miracle of life. And all the poetry in the world finally makes sense to me. Save one death for me. That is, I don't know. I think it's phenomenal. I mean, you already know how much I love Thomas's poetry, both for saying something, but at the same time for leaving space for us to think. Why do I miss someone? It's as if the butterfly enters his life and maybe disappear in his life very fast, but I already miss. Why? We will see why. Because the beauty of the butterfly will bring life in the poet's soul. So as soon as the butterfly just passed by, and here it could be simply a metaphor of someone just passing by in the life of the poet, in the life of the loner. But here he says, I never met. It means probably that never had any kind of relation. I just witnessed something. That would be my guess here. I just witness beauty in someone passing by. And there, this beauty passing by in my life leaves me breathless. I lay there. And sea winds, you see, the breath, the winds of the sea brought her to me, brought her, the butterfly. Until now, the feminine character has been the butterfly in this song. So the sea winds brought her to me. So close by the sea. So the butterfly comes from I don't know where. And a butterfly, mere one-day miracle of life. And here is the answer to the first paragraph to me. It's that really the butterfly here is described as very short-lived, one day. And as soon as the butterfly lives, as soon the butterfly begins to die. So it's a miracle of life because there is both life and death in a very short-lived little insects that is still carrying beauty. And all the poetry in the world finally makes sense to me. Yeah, well, if one instant of beauty as short-lived as it can be brings so much into my mind, then the poetry of the world makes sense to me, because just a little bit of beauty can insufflate life in anyone's mind and heart. Save one death to me, because the butterfly is a one-day miracle. But save one death is very interesting because the butterfly has, to my knowledge, very often been presented as a symbol of, let's say, resurrection, reanimation, or coming back to life. Save one death to me, I think it will make sense in the coming bridge, if I'm not mistaken. You already know the chorus. That's the chorus. I wrote chorus B. It will be written as B prime in the structure a little bit later, just to say that there's the addition of Marco's voice, run away, run away. So it makes this inclusion is very interesting, because the loner longing for the cadence of her last breath. So the loner is really longing for the last element of life, in the wishing that he will receive the life, the beauty of the butterfly. But it's interesting because with the insertion here, it makes a loner longing for run away. It doesn't make a good English sentence, but there is a sentence. In a way, it affirms that the poet, the loner, wants to receive movement by the butterfly. And this will enable him to fly from something, to run away from something. And you know how a butterfly, the cadence of her last breath, of her last movement, to be communicated, like I said, to the poet. Now, let's go to the bridge, because there is something very interesting. I think the key is here. Put to rest all that's not life. Drink for beauty and fill my blank page. Sometimes a dream turns into a dream. Read carefully the first line. Put to rest all that is not life. Now, the butterfly dies, the insect dies, okay? But again will come like a caterpillar and so on, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you know the story, you know the cycle. Here is let everything that is not life be put to rest. So let one part of me die. I want one part of me to die so that I can live again. Okay? So drink for beauty. So there could be many elements here. There could be the rain that could be drank, the tears or the life coming out of the butterfly, or it could be the poets drinking to beauty, so celebrating beauty. And while he celebrates beauty, the poet sees the blank page being filled. Being filled with what? With the beauty that is ephemeral. Very short-lived beauty, but such beauty, short-lived beauty, gave me so much that I can fill my page. I celebrate life. And I find the rhythm, the cadence, to run away from what is not good in my life and to find a new rhythm, a new life, a new rhythm. So dreams sometimes turns into dream. Dream, something that looks like non-real, turns into a renewal, a new life, a resurrection, or a rebirth, which could be called a dream as well. So that would be my take on this. I find the bridge fantastic. I think both it after telling something that is kind of outside of, in the observation of something outside of the poets, the loner poet, now he's talking about something happening into his present life while I think he is writing. And I think there is something beautiful here, because it's not the first time that we see the theme that suffering has been the inspiration of the poet. We've seen that in Beauty of the Beast, Beauty in the Beast and the Beast. We've seen that in many other songs, this idea that in suffering the poet found inspiration to write his poetry, his music. I think it's the same theme here. In the dark rain, you could say, is the ink of my poetry. In life coming out, in also everything that is terminating, finishing, I find new life, rebirth. That's good. I think, and I'm pretty sure, knowing just a little bit Thomas with all these videos, I would not be surprised that at least, maybe not consciously, but unconsciously, there is something of just of exactly what I've just said in that poetry. I think it's that level of poetry. You already know the chorus, and then let's go. The opening is the breathing sound of someone running, and then you have a structure, verse, chorus, but It looks like a simple structure when I put it that way, but it's not, because the second verse is not the same size as the first. There are two more lines. The chorus will be a section will be added. Marco will sing a line in between every lines of the chorus. The bridge, there's symmetry, it's asymmetrical. There's many elements in the writings of the words that makes it just a tiny bit more complex. But still, the structure is quite simple, but there's enough variation to make it very interesting, to be frank. In terms of lyrics, it's a metaphor of the butterfly, so it uses a metaphor, and there's a blend of what we can observe outside and what happens inside the poet. So there's a dialogue between reality, outside reality, and inside reality, and there's also an expectation of the poet of a dream, called a dream, but this dream is not that foolish, because in that very short time story of a butterfly arriving suddenly, passing by, it's been said in the song that the poet didn't meet the butterfly. So it can be only beauty in a butterfly, in an insect, but it could be a beautiful person that will provoke something, would stir something in the poet's heart and soul. Now, in terms of analysis, here are a few elements of analysis of the song. After the song Amaranth, after the song, as you know, we saw already 3 songs. The theme of a surviving part of a dying self is coming back. You had that in The Poet and the Pendulum already in there. And it has been in Bye Bye Beautiful, Someone Leaves, I Will Survive. And the theme of survival and even resurrection has been there since the beginning of that album. There is the rebirth of the reanimation of something dead, of something dying. Now, beauty, even short-lived, brings life to the learner and the poet, for me to be the same person here. And drinking to beauty in the middle of this, no, not in the middle of the song, in the bridge, I think out of celebration to beauty, just because beauty is there, fills the blank page, is the there's a beautiful song in French from Francis Cabrel saying, Je l'ai puisé à l'encre de tes yeux. What I wrote about you, he's talking about the beloved one, he said, I took it from the ink taken from your eyes. So the very ink with which I write has been the story I'm telling you, or the beautiful words I'm telling you, have been taken from your eyes, the beauty of your eyes. This is something, a similar theme I see in this song. Her last breath brings life to the learner, the last breath. The dream turns into a dream. A dream passing by brings back life into my death, which would be a second dream that is becoming reality because of beauty. So it's a real celebration of the impossible to grasp beauty in anything, but at the same time to be moved, influenced, transformed. In this case, being able to walk and to run again. The cadence of of her last breath. The beat of her wings echoes in my soul as a song, as poetry first and then as a song. It's wonderful. So my opinion about this song, Until now, each and every song has given a lot of satisfaction. This one as well. Highly poetic, yet full of emotional content. There's a lot of emotion in that song. The delicacy, the very delicate dimension of the dream becomes a dream. But at the same time, the extremely powerful rhythm section in many parts of the song. I loved it. Solitude is filled in an instant by a delicate creature or a delicate revelation of some kind. And the steady and struck beat like a heart has been reanimated by the beauty in its fragile form. So there is a generosity of nature, of beauty. The poet puts to rest all that is not life, but something has to be left behind. But he runs away with what is life in his life. The gentle rhythm of the butterfly will trigger the movement in the poet's life. So there is a calling of life beyond death and what is bound to die or disappear. So life will continue beyond what has to die or what has to disappear. So this is, my opinion. Love this song. It's not the strongest song of the album until now, but it's there for something. It has to do. I'm really eager to see what will come after, and in the coming songs. If I remember well, the album, generally speaking, goes from very dark areas of the heart and moves toward a lot of light, if I remember well. So I'm pretty sure this song carries that movement all by itself as well. And it has been the reality until now, I think, with every song. In different ways. Amaranth is a very catchy, beautifully written melody with highly poetic words, difficult to understand, to be frank. The second one, the Bye Bye Beautiful, the chorus is very straightforward, very clear. Verses are more difficult to understand. As you know, the Poet and the Pendulum is really talking about an emotional death as a starting point for something new, for renewal. This song carries it all by itself. Okay, there it is. So next week, that's Master Passion Greed. This one, it's impossible to miss. Pretty sure it's the heaviest song of the album. I remember quite well my impression, especially because the double bass beat struck my imagination at the time. So next week we will do that. Never forget, you have 8 languages in subtitles right here. You just have to activate the subtitles and pick your language. So there is the reaction to a song, there is the analysis, as you know, and reaction to a live version. This is what we will do in a second. Don't leave. Just a reminder that the premiere is at 1:30 every Friday, North American time. That's Montreal time. Just have a look what time it corresponds to your time zone. But don't forget, you can subscribe and even click the little red bell that has beside the subscribe button, and you will be notified as soon as I will put the video with the exact hour in your time zone. As for now, let's move immediately to the live version of that song. I'm really looking forward to hear that. Apparently it's Annette Olson. Let's listen to that. I really want to hear our friend Marco, both his bass and his voice. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. That's a recording. bass. Love his tone. With such a bass, don't need a rhythm guitarist. Don't see him poop. Ah. Yep. Love it. Love it. Very civilized crowd.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Howdy ho and hello. Hi there.
What?
Hi.
Hi-dio.
Nice to meet you.
Wanted to speak
Hi.
Australian?
Hi. Hi. And how nice
Look
to
at that.
you have. Suomi. Hi. Hi.
Huh?
Nice to see all of you.
Well, there it is. It was fun. Liked it. So, there it was. Nothing to add except that we hear very well the bass. I love the bass. Both the tone and the bass line. Love it. Sorry that we didn't see much of the Ampus. Nice solo. I love the solo on this one. And Yuka, as usual, promise discreet in the dark, as usual as well. Surprised by Anette Olsen. To be frank, I found her quite good and expressive in there. There's an element of acting that I didn't know she had. So that was good. I understand why people are saying she's not the typical metal singer. The way she behaved at the end of the song is quite different. Let's say that a lot of singer I know. That's it for now, anyways. See you next week, Master Passion Breed. Bye bye.